here over on all the other platforms. I hope everybody, like I said, has had a wonderful evening or actually a wonderful week. It's Thursday, time of the week that I like to see because we're so close to Friday. It makes me so happy. But anyway, hope everybody's doing well. We are back tonight, and I'm excited because you have been excited about this four-part series on unlocking your strengths. So that's what we're talking about. And we're going to jump right into it because, we do all of this on Thought for Thursdays, all in what, 15 minutes. But we have started this year doing some things that you're going to be able to take away with you to include some supplemental information that I am providing via worksheet. So I have put a link already in the announcement that I have over here. I've put a link in to tell you how to get that worksheet if you want it. So be sure to check the comments and we can go from there. All right. So tonight we are starting up again, as I mentioned. Last week, well, we've been doing this for a couple weeks now, but we've been talking about the various things that you can do to unlock your genius, to recognize what your strengths are. When you know your strengths, you can operate in them, and operating in your strengths makes you more susceptible to enjoy what it is that you're doing, of course. And it really does kind of point in the direction of where your real purpose is. And it definitely highlights what you're passionate about. So we've already discussed a couple of things. Tonight, we're going to start in again with, hold on just one second. I think I've got yeah, the first one didn't take, but it's all right. We're still going to talk about it. I'm going to update that real quickly. We are on step 4 actually tonight. And in step 4, what you're going to do is you're going to determine which of your qualities that you most admire about yourself. Yeah. What are some qualities that you like the best or you like the most about yourself? Those are things that are really going to point you in the direction of, again, what some of your strengths are you most like about yourself. I want to make sure that I put that in there so that you can see that. All right. So, what is it that you like most about yourself? What are some things that you know that you do really well? These are undoubtedly, certain qualities that you possess that really make you happy. All right. Those are things that you probably like most about yourself. For example, let's say that you don't give up on things easily. All right. Even when they get tough, then that's a quality right there that you probably really appreciate yourself. When you're working on a project, you refuse to stop. And if that's you, then you're showing the quality of perseverance. That's something that you have that you may not even recognize as being a quality. But if you are determined, if you're somebody who doesn't give up easily, then perseverance is a quality. And chances are you probably like that about yourself. Or maybe you're consistent when it comes to going to the gym. All right. It doesn't matter if it rains, if it's cloudy, if it's snowing, no matter what, you're getting up every morning or perhaps every other morning. You're committed to getting up, rolling out of the bed, making it down the street or downstairs to wherever your gym equipment is, and you are exercising. That discipline right there, well, that points to being disciplined and it points to being determined. So those are qualities that you may like. All right. So those are just a couple of examples of qualities that you may possess that you really do admire about yourself. So say you're still not real sure of exactly what this may mean. I already talked about it, but here are some questions that you can ask yourself. We already said this. What are the qualities that you admire most. All right. And if you had to list three characteristics, what would they be? What are three characteristics of yourself, or characteristics maybe of things that you may think are qualities? What are some of those characteristics? List three of them. And what would they be? All right. That'll help you to determine what maybe some things that you really do like about yourself. What are you most proud of? What have you done that you are so proud of? I mean, and it doesn't matter how big or how small that thing is. That again can point you in the direction of understanding some qualities about yourself that you really like. What about, qualities that you feel really kind of define who you are? Are there some things that you can say, I'm a great cook. That's a quality that I have. I can cook. I know that I can cook. People tell me I'm a great cook, and I feel that I cook really well. Does that really define who you are? A cook, a real good cook. There are other qualities that you may think of that fall along in that category, or not necessarily in that category, but qualities that you definitely recognize are something that you possess. If you had to describe yourself in one sentence, okay, what would it be? How would you describe yourself if you had to describe yourself in one sentence? Now, that was a tough one for me as I thought about that. And I'm like, oh, well, it depends. Do you talk about me for business, or do you talk about me personally? Do you talk about me as a mom, as a wife? You know, it kind of varies. But if you could just kind of overall summarize who you are: a person who is compassionate, you are a person who likes to help others, you are a person who likes to develop things, just one sentence that really kind of summarizes who you are. What would that sentence be? Look at that, because that's a hint again about something that you're really a quality that you're really that's really important to you. So those are a few things that you can do. Write that sentence, figure out what you would say about yourself. What are some of the qualities that you feel are key in defining who you are? And if you had to list your top three characteristics, what would they be? All right. So that was step 4. Okay. So we're on step 4, and the step was determine which qualities you most like about yourself. And again, what we're doing is we're trying to identify our strengths so that we can operate in our strengths and thrive in our lives, personally and professionally. So, step 5, find your flow state. Does anybody know what your flow state is? What is your flow state? It sounds like something that we should all have, right? It sounds like we should all have a flow state. And in many instances, it really does kind of point back to exactly what the word says, that whole flow piece of it. A flow state it occurs when you are so immersed in a particular task or a project that you lose all sense of time. You can sit and do something for hours, and you look up and you've been at the desk, or you've been out in the garden, or you've been outside doing something, or you've been at a museum, for example, and you are totally immersed. You look up and 3-4 hours have gone by, and you did not even notice that the time had escaped you. That is what a flow state is called. By identifying that, all right, you can also, chances are you're going to be operating in a position where if you're in your flow state, chances are you're not doing something for 3 or 4 hours that's really a weakness of yours, right? You're not going to spend all this time just mindlessly doing something that's really a weakness and doing it on a consistent basis. So, what I'm getting at is if it's something that occurs during your flow state, chances are that is a strength of yours that you may not even have identified as a strength up until this point. Like I said, you're in a position, you're doing something, hours fly by, and you don't even realize they have gone by. You get great passion in whatever it is that you're doing. Maybe you lose yourself, for example, if you're working on something like a computer program for those who are real techie. You can sit for hours, programmers and engineers, people who do that kind of work. They can sit for hours behind the desktop, sometimes most of the time in a dimly lit room, giving them an opportunity to listen to music, for example, I think helps them, is what from what I understand in that technical arena. But it's something they enjoy and they can just sit there for hours and do it. That is a flow state. Pay attention to something like that. Identify the times when you really are moving in your flow state, and then look to see what strengths you're exhibiting when you're in that position. What strengths are you showing? For example, when you can spend hours teaching somewhere, where you could spend hours perhaps developing clothing of some sort. You can spend hours directing meetings, whatever that is. What strengths are you exhibiting during that time? Chances are it is a prime strength of yours. Okay. And the sixth step we're going to talk about tonight is identify your role models. Who are your role models? Who are the people that you really look up to? Chances are what you see in your role models, all right, are strengths that you identify with, and they are appealing to you. And chances are they are strengths that you may have also, and you desire to kind of operate in that same arena because you recognize the strengths that they have. Now, some of you may say, like me, I say, well, my role models are my role models because they do the things that I desire to do. For some of them, for a number of years, role models were folks who would actually get out and speak in front of people. So I finally gotten to the point where when I finally got there, then I was like, well, what other strengths do I see in my role models that I probably do have within myself as well? All right. So look at your role models. Take a look at some of the things that they do. What are those strengths, and where do you kind of see yourself falling in that arena? Are they strengths that you can identify with as well? All right. Here are some questions that you may want to ask when trying to determine that. Again, who are your greatest role models in life? Take a look at them. Take a look at some of the things they do and ask, well, why do I admire them so? All right. Some other questions. Again, who do you admire most and why do you admire them? Who do you aspire to be like? I've already said this, when I say I look up to this person because I wanted to be able to do some of the things that they do, or act, or pursue some of the projects that they may work on. Who is that for you? Who is it that you aspire to be like? And if you could model your life after three people, who would you choose? Now, that's kind of a tough question, also, because I say that, but I also say it in the light of what types of things in the lives of these people would you like to mirror? Because I wholeheartedly don't believe that anybody should want to shape their lives identically like anyone else's, because your life is unique and you're unique. So you wouldn't want to have a life just like someone else. However, if you could model pieces of your life, pieces of things that you do, pieces of things that you experience like anyone else, who would you choose? Look at those things. Look at the strengths that, those people have as well, and see where they may fall in alignment for you. Where are those strengths? Do they look anything like maybe some things that you have? And the last thing that you're going to do while trying to identify your role models is, just make sure that you understand what, again, we're seeking to understand what those strengths are based on perhaps the lifestyle that these people live, or perhaps even, the people that they influence. What are some of those things? Take a real good look to figure out how you mirror some of those things, or how you desire to mirror some of those things. And I have here, I said, the truth is that we're often attracted to and admire those people who have similar strengths to us, although often perhaps in greater proportion, you know. So we admire them because we want our strength in that area to be greater, but that doesn't mean that we don't have that strength. All right. It's there, but we admire these people because we want the strength to be greater. All right. So that's it. Those are our tips for helping to identify our strengths in 15 minutes or less. I think we're right at 15 minutes here. Remember, your strengths are your strengths. And we talked a lot tonight about looking at role models and people that you admire and understanding their strengths and what is it about them that you would like to emulate in some way. And in no way am I trying to insinuate, and I've said this already, that you want to be just like anyone else. I stress in everything that I say your uniqueness. You are you. And as I say every time I come on as well, your thumbprint is individual, made just for you, uniquely designed to make an impression on the world as only you can. So when I talk about looking at other people to see what you may emulate or see what you may like about them that could point to a strength that you have, I mean it in the context of some of the things that you desire perhaps to be in your life. But that is not to say that you want to emulate anyone else's life, because you are unique. So you want to take perhaps those strengths and craft them into what makes your life uniquely your life. All right. So remember that there's just one of you. Nobody else can be you. You are the best you out there. All right. And you have a mark to make. Go seek the strengths, understand what they are, because when you're operating in your strengths, you are a lot healthier. You're not as stressed because you're not working in an environment or living in an environment or doing things in an environment that is really outside of what you best do. And we all know that those kinds of things bring about stress on the body when you're operating, for example, in something that really is a weakness of yours. You're not as happy. You're not as productive. All of those things. So it's amazing how they all tie into one another and how they really can affect your health. So you want to seek your strengths, you want to work in them so that you can be healthier, so that you can be happier, and so that you can be the impactful person that you desire to be. All right. So that's it. Go out, be you. Come back here next week. All right. And we're going to continue with what should be our last week. We'll see how far we get, because I know we have about 6 more steps. So come back next week and we'll talk about those. If you're interested in getting that worksheet to accompany what I've been talking about for the past 3 nights, for the past 3 weeks, rather, on Thursday nights, definitely go ahead and click on that link. I'm going to have it in the comment section so that you can download the worksheets that also go along with this, so that you can really, really spend some concerted time on focusing on getting at what makes you best. What is your absolute strength? All right. So go on out, be confidently yourself, audaciously yourself, knowing that you have been uniquely designed to do what it is that you do in the world. And just as you are, no matter what society says or what society looks like, and if you don't look like society, guess what? That's all right, because you are enough just as you are. So go out there and do your best work as being you. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a great one.